My name is Byron, and I recently dragged myself through the bureaucratic maze of jury duty in New Haven, Connecticut. Let me lay it all out for you. The raw, unvarnished truth of what it's like to be caught in this civic snare, and what you should brace yourself for if you find that dreaded summons in your mailbox. It was December when the letter landed like a kick in the balls or a kick in the titties. Fuck you, you're up. Jury duty. In Connecticut, if you get picked, you're off the hook for 3 years. Lucky me. It had been 7 years since my last go-round, so I'd almost convinced myself I'd dodged the bullet for good. A relative of mine got the same unwelcome news. He wrote them a heartfelt letter, pleading to be excused because of his personal beliefs. They shot him down faster than a bartender cutting off a drunk. Your reasons don't matter. I told him the truth. Jury duty hits like a draft notice, mandatory, no exceptions. Sure, you can kick the can down the road for 10 months, but that just means you'll get another date to dread. So, there I was, resigned to my fate. There's no real way to sidestep it. You can dodge it if you're drafted into the military or have serious health issues, but most of us aren't so lucky. I get it, people bristle and rage against it, but it's our civic duty, like it or not. It's the price we pay for living in a society that pretends to be fair. Now, here's the real kicker. I work full-time and Connecticut law says my employer has to pay for jury duty. But my job? They don't cough up a dime. They told me because I'm a night owl, courts don't run after dark. So why should they give me time off to catch some ZS? Want jury duty compensation? Tap into my sick or vacation days. That's not just unethical. It's downright criminal. I told folks at the courthouse there's no form to report employers who flout the law. It's a gaping hole in the system. We need accountability for these businesses that think they can skate by without paying their fair share. But the system's not interested in justice for jurors. Leading up to it, I was a mess of nerves. Would I get excused? I work nights. How the hell am I supposed to stay awake? What if I ended up on a case that twisted my gut? Anxiety gnawed at me like a stray dog on a bone. I had to force myself to breathe and just face it. Be professional, be honest, and see where the chips fall. On the day of jury duty, I cut back on overtime to rest. I made it crystal clear to my employer I had to be at court by 8 a.m., so they couldn't pile on last-minute tasks that would run me late. Walking into the courthouse felt like stepping onto a stage in a bad play. I shuffled through a metal detector, got instructions barked at me, and was herded like cattle to the waiting area. Respect is the currency here. What you give is what you get back. Nobody likes jury duty, but there's no need to act like a petulant child about it. Next, I registered and slapped on my juror sticker, a badge of reluctant honor. They handed out paperwork asking if you were part-time, full-time, or unemployed, and if you had extra expenses, like travel or childcare. I laid it all out to the registration clerk. I work for a multi-billion-dollar company that won't pay me for jury duty. She nodded, agreeing it was unethical and illegal, but her hands were tied. Pro tip, don't forget your state ID. Connecticut pays you $50 a day for jury duty. $50. At minimum wage, I should be pocketing over $130 for 8 hours. Some states pay less, or worse, don't pay you at all for the first day. Alaska, they don't pay a cent. The whole system feels rigged, a carnival of injustice. Judges and lawyers cash in while jurors get crumbs, and companies skate without a care. So, there I was, waiting from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m., counting the minutes, listening to the steady drone of announcements about where to go. Finally, I was called for a civil case, a blessing compared to a criminal case that could rip your soul apart. Civil cases, they said, are usually easier lawsuits, divorces, petty squabbles over money or property. Nothing too heavy, nothing that keeps you up at night. In the courtroom, they told us this case would drag on for about a week. We had to introduce ourselves and plead our cases for being excused. After an hour's lunch break, it was my turn to face the attorneys. I laid it bare. I work 11 p.m. to 7:30 a.m., expecting me to juggle court from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a week? That's a recipe for disaster. I printed my work schedule, proof that I wasn't blowing smoke. I made it clear my job wouldn't compensate me, and they expected me to manage both jobs. I cleaned COVID-19 rooms, surgery rooms with floors covered in blood, and biohazard rooms, for crying out loud. You think I want to show up in those clothes without a chance to change? I stress that working those hours without a break isn't just tough, it's a health risk. I can't be a functioning juror under that kind of strain. In the end, they let me go. I was honest, had my proof, and spoke with respect. That's crucial. People get anxious and emotional, but leave that at home. Honesty is your best armor. You don't want to mess with the court. I felt a pang of guilt for not being part of the jury. The defendant was black, just like me, facing an all-white jury. We know how that story often ends. If my job had a lick of ethics, I'd have been proud to serve. But that's the world we live in, outdated, with no respect for the realities of the 21st century. Jurors need to be paid at least minimum wage, and there needs to be a system to investigate companies that refuse to compensate their employees. And what about people like me, who spend most of the year hustling on films or juggling other responsibilities? We need a better system for jury duty, something that acknowledges the demands of modern life. In the end, I chose to be honest and embrace the responsibility of jury duty. Sure, it creates anxiety, but I navigated it. I'm proud to share this with my brother and anyone else feeling lost in the chaos of jury duty. Remember, jury duty isn't the end of the world. As frustrating it is, I'd take it over being drafted into some war-torn hellhole. I'd rather sit in a courtroom for $50 than leave everything behind for a fight that's not mine. We live in a country with its share of problems, but we also have a lot of benefits. So yeah, jury duty sucks, but it's a hell of a lot better than the alternative.